Hi, I'm Amy from the Weight Loss Fitness Forums. Sorry you're not going to be seeing my face in this video. I don't really want my face being on the internet. Um, Feel free to pause this video at any time. I'm aware there's a little bit of information overload compared to how fast I'm talking. That's a problem I have everywhere. Every picture you see here is food I eat, unless I state otherwise. Yes, I have all of this on a diet. I'm 25 years old and I'm a university student in England. I'm 167 centimetres or nearly 5'6" tall. I've been unhappy with my weight for a long time, as in since I was 12, but it's been really out of control since I left school. At my highest weight that I know of, which was just before I turned 21, I was 100 kilograms. All conversions are on the page. I lost that excess weight when I became critically ill, which isn't something I'd recommend for anyone. It was horrific, let's put it that way. After I recovered from my illness and things went back to normal, when I could function as a normal, independent human being again, it was that bad. My weight has generally fluctuated between 70 and 80 kilos. That's been for the last 4 years or so. I started this weight loss journey at the beginning of April 2011 at 74 kilograms. I currently weigh 67 kilograms, which was a loss of 7 kilograms in 8 weeks. I've lost the weight by counting calories and exercising. This is a method I can enthusiastically recommend. I've tried several different methods before, nothing's really worked for me, and I have 2 medical conditions I'm not going to talk about that mean that I am predisposed to being obese, plus I have a long family history of obesity. I recommend this for the reasons that Rox has given exactly. You can eat what you want if the numbers add up, and it's easy to work out where and how much you went wrong if you did, and how to fix it. Also with Rox, I'm not a medical professional of any sort. I have no relevant qualifications in this field. What I do and recommend is based on what's working for me and the information I think is reliable online, and if it's not working for you, you should talk to your doctor. Really crucial for eating any kind of food, particularly when you're calorie counting, is knowing how many calories are in it. Duh. It's easy if you're eating from a packet, as you can see in this picture. One of these pictured crackers contains 20 calories. I had this yesterday. I've had 40 calories worth of cracker. But it can all go really wrong really quickly if you're not using predefined amounts. The apple, the peanut butter, and the milk and the tea. Have a look at that picture. I ate that, as I said, yesterday. The numbers are based on what I honestly would have guessed my calories to be when I started calorie counting. I tried to overestimate because I didn't want to eat more calories accidentally. The numbers are from my calorie counting program, which is a godsend. Think about that, then have a look at the next picture when I put it up, which is how much I really ate. It's 33 calories difference. That's not gonna make or break anyone's diet, but think about it in terms of the total. It's over 20%. 20% of a 1500 calorie diet a day, that's 300 calories. That is a lot. Heck, my meals are smaller than that most of the time. And that's assuming similar guesses. Food calorie density is generally low. The peanut butter, the difference is quite high. The milk is very low. And not doing things like licking the peanut butter spoon or knife, which apparently some people do. I'm sorry if I didn't weigh it, I don't eat it. I can't stress enough the importance of measuring and ideally weighing your food. I've always used a scale with my calorie counting, but I started with a mechanical scale with 25 gram gradations. I think 28 grams is an ounce, something like that. I had to use a set container, which made weighing harder and messier, way more washing up, and it was all very imprecise. I've since bought a digital scale, which is the best 10 quid I've ever spent, by the way, which weighs to the nearest gram, or 1/10 of an ounce, and you can use any container on it. Personally, I measure everything, and the difference between my previous guesses and reality is appalling. I'll point out that this isn't as much work as it seems. Put a plate on the scale, zero it, put a food item on the scale, record weight, zero it again, apply topping if applicable, record weight. Takes seconds for a single item, 10 seconds for an apple. under a minute for a starch with topping, like a cracker with peanut butter on it. Maybe up to 5 minutes while cooking, you do it as you go. A calorie counting program does all the maths for you. Plus, the more precise you are, the more room you know you have in your diet for things like chocolate, which I now include in my diet almost daily without a shred of guilt. I'm sorry, I need to eat chocolate. I know I can afford it with my numbers as well. I actually didn't eat that pictured chocolate. I've already had some yesterday, whatever. And that Pepsi is just for scale. I have it in my flat to hide it from my boyfriend, who is addicted to the stuff. One of the things that works best for me as a calorie counter is making my own food. I'm always looking out for new recipes, and I like to suggest them to other people. I try to keep my food interesting and change some things around a lot, typically my evening meal. It really keeps me motivated to have better food than I used to. My cooking's actually come into its own since I started calorie counting. You'd barely believe I only started cooking 2 years ago. The way I found recipes for the most part is by looking at recipe websites that allow you to search based on calorie or kilojoule amounts. My favourites are taste.com.au and BBC Good Food. I usually then look at the ingredients and if there's anything I want to change. For example, I usually cut the meat content in recipes considerably, both for financial and nutritional reasons. In most instances, we really don't need that much meat. I then run an estimation of what I'm going to be using through an online recipe calorie counter. They're really easy to find. They're not perfect, particularly the one I use is American, but it doesn't account for all my ingredients or the specifics, but it's usually a reasonable and a quick guide rather than sort of sitting down and doing all the maths. And if the estimation is a low enough calorie count, then I'll make it. On the screen is an example of a stir fry which I've adapted and I really enjoy. I'm going to be making that again. Importantly, I weigh things as or before I add them to the recipe. My guesses are usually pretty close to what I've estimated before I make something, but can often be quite far off what the recipe websites actually say, even when I'm working from a UK website. When I'm working from an overseas website, all bets are off, I'm afraid. There can be significant variation to the products. There may be things that I can't find. I have to adapt significantly in some cases. You can see the results of the stir fry. It's to serve 4. I don't even eat everything in that pan at once. I live alone, so most of the time the amounts even out for me, as long as I don't eat a 4-person dish in 2 days or something. One thing I'm not entirely sure about is how to manage when I entertain. I really don't know how to weigh food once it's been cooked, because I'm sure the weight has changed due to water coming out of the dish and similar. I'd love advice on that. So far, I don't entertain very much, and when I do, it's for people who aren't on a diet. If I make a dish for 2, I'll give them 60% of it. I figure I'm doing them a favour by feeding them low-calorie food, and I'm minimising the risk that I'm eating more than I thought. I wouldn't do this if people I entertain were on a diet. I'd have to think a bit harder about that. I hope this has been of some use to people and given people ideas. Thank you for watching, and thank you both to Hannah, which is Sunflower, for the idea, and for everyone who's participated so far.